Hey, good afternoon, guys. My name is Toree, and welcome to my TEDx speech. Do you ever wonder why? Why everyone around you chooses to pick on you? Have you ever had a day so bad that you just don't know what the point is anymore? Or just feel like you shouldn't be here anymore? Just remember to hold on because we are here for a reason. And you have to remember that there is almost always somebody who has it worse than you. When she was a kid, the very first time that she was bullied was in preschool. She was playing with another little girl. She seemed nice until she pulled the chair out from underneath her. By the time that she was in second grade, she was bullied again. She was reaching for the jump rope inside of a metal basket that she wasn't quite tall enough to reach. Once she got it, a girl ripped it out of her hand. She asked for it back. The girl didn't say a word. She just ran around in circles as she jump roped. She avoided her and laughed like it was a game. She switched schools for third grade. At home, her mother was always angry. She was always yelling and screaming. Her mother threw things around and she was told to pick up the broken pieces. The next day that she went back to school, she got called ugly. The boy told her that whenever she touched anything, it would turn ugly too. When she went home to her mother, she told her, "I don't know what to tell you, you'll get over it." As if it was just that easy. It's even harder when you have to deal with a parent who won't do anything for you, help you, or even give you a little advice. A few days later, she was excluded from her group of friends, and she was accused of doing something that she never did. Not even a couple months later, her parents were always getting angry with each other. Their fights would get so bad that her sisters, and her younger brother would get sent outside. Eventually, her parents didn't live in the same house anymore, or even on the same side of town. And she only saw her dad on weekends because he wasn't close enough to her school. By the time that she was in fourth grade, she only had one friend left. At the same time, her parents were getting divorced, and she wasn't allowed to see her dad anymore. Then she just had hour visits with him every Saturday. While at school, her best friend was moving away. As soon as her friend had moved away, the weekly visits with their dad had stopped. She didn't even know why. In fifth grade, a boy yelled at her for accidentally kicking a chair. By the time she was in sixth grade, she could barely even remember the last time she saw her dad. At home, she had to feel like her mom was trying to turn her against her dad. She was always telling her that her dad wasn't even at the hospital when she was born. And her mom would always tell her that her dad was just going off and getting high on drugs. Her mom always talked about how she didn't want any kids after her older sister was born. But then she was so happy that she had a boy, so she felt like she was the only one who wasn't wanted. She started therapy by the time that she was in sixth grade. But she didn't even know why she was there. Finally, a few months later, she was told that the rest of her family had arrived. From there, she was sent to another room with her family, hers, her sisters, and her mom's therapist. While she was there, she was told that her dad had been put in jail. One day, she was sitting at a table with all of her friends when someone made the comment, "High five. Me and you are the only two at the table whose parents aren't divorced." When she didn't even know how long any of the girls' parents had been divorced, or if all of them even get to see both of their parents anymore. She was having such a hard time, and she barely made it past 6th or 7th grade. When she was in 8th grade, she was finally getting over it, and then her dad got out of jail. Her mom had to have a locksmith come to the house so that they could get completely new locks and keys for a couple of people in the house. While at school, her grades started to go back down. She hears people around her make comments to her like, "You're so stupid, idiot, geek, and nerd." But what they don't realize is that the names she gets called can hurt worse than even having a broken bone. Because being called names or being teased affects every part of you in a way that almost nothing else can. They don't understand what her life is like. Even when you think you may know someone, you may not actually know anything about them. People talk about their dads around her, even knowing that she doesn't have one. She can barely get her school work done because she's always thinking about it. Every day she goes from being hyper to depressed, having so many different emotions that can change within seconds. But when somebody finally decides to make sure that you're okay, let them. When somebody finally decides to help you out of the dark place that you've been stuck inside of, don't shut them out, because they may be the only person who will try or even put in the effort to ask if you're okay. Let this story inspire you. Go reach your hand out. Help the kid who wasn't quite tall enough to reach the jump rope. Respect each other for who they are and don't judge the book by its cover. This was a quote by Isabel, one of the few people who has helped me out of my dark place. Thank you.